Hey, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to talk about how you should never make your client feel stupid. So one of my big personal rules when dealing with clients or prospects is to not make them feel stupid. And I know that sounds obvious. It sounds so obvious that why would anybody make their client feel stupid, right? What motivation would they have? Especially if it's a business transaction where the client comes in with money, they just need an application. They just need a bit of software done, right? Why would you go in and make them feel small? But a lot of the times as technology people, we do this without even thinking about it, right? And other industries do too, right? Right now I'm working on a bunch of employee handbook type stuff. We're doing a bunch of HR stuff. So I'm working with an HR firm to get all that stuff set up because we got our first full-time employee. And when I deal with legal stuff, I feel small and I feel stupid, right? Sometimes it depends on what industry it is. When you go into some place and the person, without even realizing it, they make you feel like they're using terminology and everything like that, which is maybe above your head, and you don't want to stop and ask, so you just kind of feel like, okay, well, they obviously know what they're doing. And the worst kind of person when you're dealing with, say like a financial thing, right? I hate dealing with somebody who doesn't like it when I ask questions, or who seems annoyed with me for asking questions. And that's usually, I will dump somebody who makes me feel annoyed for somebody who makes me feel like my questions are important, and they understand that I might not know that you're not an idiot for not knowing what, say, like a liability is, or whatever term it is. I know what a liability is, but there's certain terms that they'll use that I think, oh, that's confusing. What does that mean? what does that look like? So a lot of times as developers we do that too. The reason I bring this up is because yesterday I finally set out an hour to go through our website. So we did like a big redesign of the website earlier this year, and it looks so much better than it did before. But I noticed that a lot of the prospects we're getting through are through LinkedIn or through the videos, but not so much to the website. We're getting the traffic, but we're not getting a lot of the conversions. So we sat down here in the office and go through it, and I had the person with me was not technical, so she's like, I'm not very technical, so whatever. I said, that's what we need. We need not technical, because in my mind everything here makes sense. I need somebody who, when you look through it, it doesn't make sense. So we went through it, and I see that the website breaks that rule of making people feel stupid, right? It's not delivered at the right level. To me, it makes perfect sense. But to the ideal prospect coming in, it doesn't. And it's the same thing with apps, it's the same thing with everything. You have to think about who your audience is, right? Whenever you release an app, the first thing you should think of is who's going to be interested in this, because when I do my advertising, when I do my targeting, I need to know who that is. I need to know, even in the terms of the words that I use, the language, the graphics, everything has to be, if you know who your ideal user is, then they'll do that. So for us, we've had clients that have been not technical at all, and some that have been very technical, like developers, right? And our ideal client is somewhere in between. So I'm just kidding, like dealing with somebody who was not technical at all, we've had a few like that, when I mean not technical, I don't mean like they're not developers, because a lot of people, most of our prospects don't think that they're technical. They go, oh, I'm not really a technology person, Eric. You're gonna have to help me out with this, right? But they have a smartphone. They know how the social media networks work. If I send them an APK through Dropbox or through Google Drive, they can figure out how to install it. I've had other ones who, they had an app idea, but they didn't have a smartphone, so they bought a smartphone. And like I had one client where I had to go out to visit like every week and install the latest version on their phone, because it was just too difficult to talk them through the process of installing it. And even if I tried to, it got too technical with the steps, like go into settings on an Android phone and enable third-party APKs, all that kind of stuff. It just got difficult. So that was hard. And even they had to and I had other clients who've had to put data in a certain format so it could go into a database. So they would have everything in just all over the place, like in free text. So I say, if you could put it in like Excel and everything, put it in cells, and they didn't understand how any of that worked, and it got very difficult. I mean, it was just not technical at all, right? And we've had on the other side, we've had tech developers who are, clients who are developers, so they're very technical. They want to know specifically how everything's going to work, it's almost like relegating you as a developer to a code monkey, because basically they know exactly what they want. They just need you to be the foot soldier and carry it out, which is fine. We've done that before, but it's not as much fun. It could be a bit of a hassle. And sometimes because they're a developer, I get this a lot. They say, I'm a developer too. Would it be cheaper if I helped out with the code? And the answer to that question is always no. And it's a difficult no, because there's ego at play there. So you say, no, I'm sorry, we don't work that way. We have a team that we work really well, we gel together, and it's very difficult working with outside people. And that can be difficult. A lot of times that's a deal breaker, and I'm fine to let that deal go, because it's really difficult. It's really difficult when you're dealing with somebody who's a developer and they're paying the bills, because if their code isn't up to scratch, that's really difficult. And there's also the ego. So a lot of times we deal with developers, if you've ever worked in a team environment, there's ego at play at different levels. I've been guilty of this in the past too, where my code is better than that guy's code. That guy, I don't know what he's doing, and all this kind of stuff. And if the person paying the bills is there, it adds to the complexity of the project. Right, and definitely doesn't make it cheaper. It makes it more difficult. And both of those clients we could deal with, but going in, I know that we charge them more, and probably more than we should, because we start to anticipate how it does. So when we look at the website, I have to think of a level of technology, a technological skill that we address. And the website itself, it made people feel stupid. So it's something that we need to work on going forward. I've worked with developers who have actually been very arrogant, and they don't want to speak down. I don't want to say speak down. They don't want to simplify things for the business owners or the app owners or the clients, and they're not going to do it. And I know other people who, sometimes I've been guilty of being too technical, and I'm reading the cues thinking they understand what I'm saying, and then I realize that I've lost them at some point. And I've been also guilty the other way, where I'm speaking too simplified, and they're far more technical than I think, and they understand everything, and they actually resent the fact that I'm speaking in such simple terms. So a lot of times it's dealing with that, and it's something that we're constantly always working on. And the number one rule is to never make them feel stupid. I think of it like the waiter in a restaurant. The waiter in the restaurant, the waiter in the restaurant always says the right things. They say, "Hey, fantastic, good afternoon," everything like that. There's enthusiasm, there's all that. And you can say they just want a tip, but whatever, they make you feel better. And if you order your food, they say, "Excellent choice," right? And I'm sure they don't really think excellent choice. I don't think they're going back to the kitchen and say, "Hey, do you know what that guy ordered? Man, that guy's awesome." No, but they make you feel that way in the moment. And a lot of times when you're dealing with clients, you just want to make them feel, they're coming to the table with their different skills and visions, and you are helping them on the other side of that. So hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll talk to you tomorrow.